Okay, so here we are with our 2025 Honda Africa Twin Adventure Sport ES DCT at 1,586 miles. I purchased this bike about a month ago, a month and about a week. A month and 5 days, actually, to be exact. I got it on December 18, I believe. So we've had quite a few miles underneath us, so let's talk about it. First things first, the mods that I've done to the bike. First thing is that you'll see here is the WRS windscreen. So I got the touring windscreen, which is about the same size. I would say probably it's an inch taller, if that. But the main thing is that it is wider than the OEM windscreen. So it keeps the air off my shoulders. So there's not a whole lot of wind turbulence with this windscreen. So that's pretty good. Last weekend we did go to Morro Bay and the 166 highway, which was a lot of fun. We were able to really open up the bike. So gave me a little bit of insight into the handling of the bike on fast sweepers and such. So that was a lot of fun. And that's the reason why we have quite a bit of mileage now, even after just a month and a half. And by the way, just to get it out of the way, I already had the first service done by the dealership that I got this from, Ken and Joe's here in Santa Clarita. So the bike is ready to be opened up. The second mod that I did, and you probably won't be able to see it until later on when we stop, is a Shad TR41 top box that's behind me. So a little backstory on this particular mod. I was just going to get a GV adapter, since I already have a GV, I think it's a 45 liter top box on my GS 1250 Adventure. And so I looked it up, did a little bit of research, and it required 2 parts for me to be able to just have the plate and the rack adapter, so that I can just, you know, place the top box, install the top box on either bike. But due to the cost of that GV adapter, at least the 2 pieces, came out to about the same as me getting this Shad top box. So it was more cost effective to just get one specifically for the Africa Twin. So I guess the key difference is that the GV top box is made of aluminum and this Shad top box is made of plastic. But still, the quality, surprisingly enough for how much I paid for, I'm very happy with it. It's very, very sturdy. It looks high quality. The fittings are pretty high quality. So let's see how it ages. That GV top box of mine have been with me since my R1200 GS, since 2019, I believe it is. So it's been with me for a while, and it's kept up after all these years. Okay, So now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the bike. I guess the one key difference, or the one key thing, is getting used to the DCT, and that's probably a video all of its own. But I have to say, getting a little bit more knowledgeable in when to use different modes and how to manually shift the bike during certain situations, I'm definitely enjoying the DCT, you know. And let me tell you, it doesn't take away from the riding experience. In fact, it enhances it, because it leaves you to concentrate on other things like your line, your lean, your body position, your vision, looking forward, you know, more forward when you're riding. So I don't have to mess around with a clutch, especially when you're in traffic. Like, I don't necessarily commute with this bike, but when we do have to go on rides and we have to, let's say, split lanes and stuff, I just leave it on auto and just let it do its thing. You know, even on stop and start rides and stuff like that with traffic, you don't have to worry about it because you'll never stall the bike. Handling wise, so I've been playing around with the electronic suspension, and there are a lot more adjustments to this electronic suspension than my 1250 GS Adventure. So currently I have it on, let's say, user 1, and I have all the suspensions settings on soft, and it's probably not the right mode for these twisty roads I'm on, but it's not so bad, and I'm not going that fast, not attacking these curves really hard, so I think that's fine. You can still feel a little bit of the harshness of the suspension, but I have to say it's a lot better than when I first started and I had it just set on medium, and it was a little bit bouncy. So that's been, after riding it for so long, I've gotten used to it. If you remember on my first video, my first riding impressions on this bike, I mentioned that the seat was a little bit firm, and I have to say, it is still firm, but I think either my butt has gotten used to it, or it has softened enough wherein even on long rides I don't notice it anymore. So it's pretty comfortable. It's not as wide and comfortable as the GS Adventure, and of course that's, you know, that's a super touring motorcycle, adventure touring motorcycle, but I gotta say I've gotten used to this bike. I like the ergonomics of it, the seat. You know, the nice thing about this flat seat is that I can move around. You know, let's say your butt does hurt a little bit, you can just move about the seat back and forth, and that, you know, that little change right there kind of negates the pain or makes it go away because you're on a different position. The bars on this bike, I was thinking of putting risers on this bar. Risers on these bars, but I thought otherwise, because I think, you know, even if I stand on the bike, my hands still fall on a neutral position. So not really concerned with that. So I guess I'll look at that change probably in another, I don't know, 2,000-3,000 miles to see. But so far it's been good. I mean, you're not leaned forward. I'm not reaching out to the bars, so that's good. I have to say I've been very pleased with the bike so far. Mileage wise, I've been getting pretty decent miles for a 1.1 liter twin. After a 400 mile ride, I think I averaged about, oh, there it is, 40, yeah, right now it's 43 miles per gallon. But we were hustling. I mean, going down 166, I think I was just averaging about 35 miles per gallon. So you can probably tell how fast we were going that highway. So that's that. that was particularly fun. You know, that was. I mean, having gone through that bike on my, that highway on my GSX GT, which is a true sport touring bike, and more emphasis on the sport. I mean, I think the Africa Twin held its own, so I'm very happy with how it handled. There were a few times wherein, you know, go a little bit, going deep into a corner a little bit with speed. I was a bit anxious because of the softer suspension. Oh, I had it in touring mode, by the way, which makes the suspension firmer. So I wasn't particularly sure how the suspension would react, but it did quite well. As far as the electronics of the bike, I think I already mentioned the DCT and the suspension. Everything else, like CarPlay mode, has been working fine. Sometimes it would reboot by itself on long rides, but that's not really a big deal. It picks up from where it was when it rebooted, the CarPlay anyway. The main thing that I've been having issues with, and it might not be due to the bike, but due to my Cardo, my headset, is that sometimes even though it shows that it's paired on the bike for CarPlay and stuff, it doesn't recognize it. So I would have to repair it, and I've had to do that in several occasions. So that's the one thing about the electronics. But once you have it connected, I mean, it's been pretty good. I mean, I've had it on CarPlay, been enjoying CarPlay with my music and with Waze and stuff. So, wow, this truck's with all the hay and stuff. If you had hay fever, this is not an ideal situation. I'm still getting used to the bike. I'm not as confident on the bike as I am with my other bikes, like the GS Adventure or the GT. But I'm getting there. I'm liking it more and more. At first, when I first got the bike, I thought it was a little taller than I was expecting, but now I'm more than comfortable with it. You know, I mean, I can flat-foot it on one side, just like my GS, but I think this is a little bit taller than my GS, just a tad bit. But being that the seat is narrower than the GS, I think it makes it easier to to stand over the bike. The looks of the bike, I've had a lot of comments, just riding it around town and stuff. People tend to give you the thumbs up on the bike more often than I have when I first got the GS. I guess it's because of the graphics of the bike, the color. It stands out pretty much. What are my plans for this bike? Well, we're currently planning an overnight ride to Monterey in the coming weeks. That's probably about a 700-800 mile ride one way. I mean, back and forth. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm still debating whether I need to get the pannier racks for the side here so that I can move my soft panniers that I have for the GS on this. They're the Rhino Walk 35 liter ones. I don't necessarily need it for this trip. I have I want to say a 40 liter or a 30 liter bag that I can use that you can tie down on the back seat, and together with the top box, I think that's more than enough for an overnight trip. Probably even for a longer trip than that, probably a 3 or 4 day trip. So I'm just thinking on our annual week-long trip, and this year we're looking at going to Glacier National Park in Montana. I probably have to get the pannier racks and use those soft panniers for that trip. Another thing that I'm not super confident yet on are the tires. I haven't pushed them that hard, but you know, when you're on a new bike with new tires and all, you just have to be a little bit more cautious. Knowing the limits, the grip limits of the tires. So we're still getting used to that. And the one thing that I'm still getting used to is the fork dive of this bike when you're hard on the brakes. And I've learned to kind of limit that with mixing in some of the rear brake. But yeah, I mean, compared to the GS, with of course it has a different front suspension altogether, the telelever suspension that has no fork dive at all. So that takes a little getting used to. The sound of this thing, though, the twin is pretty nice. I mean, it sounds almost like a V-twin on full boil. So I'm enjoying that. I was looking at getting a slip-on, the Akrapovic slip-on, Akrapovic, however you want to say it, which is around $700-800. So I don't know if I want to do that expense yet, but almost hit that bird. Yeah, I've heard sound clips on YouTube for that Akrapovic exhaust, and I like it a lot. I don't know if it'll give this bike some drone, but we'll see. Oh, the one thing that I miss on the GS that this doesn't have is the heated seats. So I know we're coming up to the tail end of winter. Well, it's still January, but February. So I do miss the heated seats on the GS. The heated grips on this thing is pretty good. I mean, I want to say it's a little too good, because the difference between 4 and 5 is quite big. 5 is super hot, and 4 is, I think it's okay. Yeah, this thing, even with just 105 horsepower, has pretty much good get up and go. So and it's very smooth. The power delivery on it is pretty smooth. The one thing that I'm again getting used to, since it's a fairly new bike, is the fueling. I'm not really sold on how smooth the fueling is. It's like it's pretty twitchy, like on and off kind of. And I read on the forums that you can kind of balance that out with like the engine braking, changing the engine braking setting on the user mode. So I've been trying that, and it's been okay. It's still not as smooth as some of my other bikes, so not sure if that's maybe like, you know, an update or what have you, or maybe after breaking it in a little bit more, if that'll smoothen out. All right, this guy's in a Supermoto. Even on Sport 1, it shifts to the highest gear pretty fast. I mean, not as fast as when you're in just regular drive. It holds it a little bit more. So, I mean, for a 560-pound bike, pretty agile, pretty fun. Yeah, you can tell that it's a little bit taller than the GS because it gets that wind and kind of shakes it a little bit. Gotta be careful here, sometimes there's cops here. Whew, pretty cold today. Let's see how cold it is. 53 degrees. Hey. 51 over here. Whew. Stop here for a bit.